Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is another 8-0 perfect Gauntlet run. This time I'm bringing you an Odin deck for the Gauntlet Highlander.
There can be only one.
No, not that Highlander, although that is my favorite documentary of all time. This deck is really focused around curving out, trying to establish early dominance using Marksman, Raditatisker, and Argus with Brontis, kind of rounding out your early game and powering you up into your mid game as you play all the gods that are within your 3, 4, and 5 drops. If you've noticed in the upper left hand corner here, I only have one copy of every card. That's because in this gauntlet you're only allowed to play with a maximum of one of each card. This is one of the big reasons I chose to play Odin for this gauntlet. With Odin, you have a pretty reliable curve, everyone going toward the same goal of just rushing the opponent's summoning stone, while at the same time minimizing risks while keeping a clear board with some of the ranged units you have available, and Gift of Munin. If it ever does get into the mid game, you have the ability to kind of generate a crap load of zombies with Zaben Scout and your hero ability, or try to combo out with either Loki and Hastened Fatalis, or just try to build up a really big chieftain, which isn't hard to do when you have your hero power, and especially when you get Zaben Scout out. It's really easy to get to your mid game considering the combination of Argus and Nacom Warrior to draw into the really important cards like, let's see, Fire Giant and Freya, and all these game changers that even if your opponent has a slight advantage on the board, you might be able to just rush the summoning stone and take the win. This time I have a full 8 games to show you guys. I'm going to be splitting this up into 2 different clips, and at the end of this clip, I got a certain special thing for you. God, this felt like a really good play, and I know in Hearthstone we had those Hearthstone top plays, but I'd really like to see this make it into a HOTG top plays. Well, you'll have to stay tuned to check that out. And here's the first of the 8 game sweep coming up. Alright, it looks like match 1 is going to be Norse against the Hindu, and I have a pretty good start here. I have some decent cards to play on the early turns, both Brontis and Marksman. I have card draw on 5 with the Nacom Warrior and a very powerful board swinging 6-drop. Now the early game is really established because of cards like Marksman, really. And Marksman is really special because he gets incrementally powerful every time you play a god character. This is the same thing with Brontis, who I just dropped next. Looking to be in a pretty good position right here. I have my Nacom Warrior, Freya. Now I got my buff, and I also have my chieftain in hand. So to me right now, even though I don't necessarily have a ton on the board right now, I have a hell of a lot more than his 0-3 building. So at this point, every time you play against a Ganesha, you should assume you're going to be getting hit with Agni pretty soon, right around turns 4 or 5. And that's the reason why I pumped up my little dude here from a 1-1 to a 3-3, because it's really going to help negate the power of the Agni if and when it does come down. He's taking his time here, but it's cool. He's not exactly in the best position, so I understand if he needs a time to think a little bit here. Interesting. So he's keep building up these healing buildings in the back of my base here. I'm going to be going for the Nacom Warrior over Hell here, and the reason why I'm doing this is because regardless, I'm probably going to be losing some characters, and against a faction like the Hindus, you really have to worry about them being able to outlast you. With all their cards, or I shouldn't say all, but a lot of their cards having reincarnate, you have to deal with the same characters twice. And especially in the case of Agni, when he comes into play and pings everything, it can be kind of a pain in the ass. So the route I'm going here is to allow him to have his 4/4 on the board and more heavily aggressive attack the summoning stone, keeping more threats up. I think this is the right play. Not that plain hell would have been a bad play here, but I just feel that it's the more aggressive play, that he can't get to that 4/4, and just all the cards that it draws are going to give me more options and seal the deal, basically. So this is a pretty easy move here. We're going to start knocking out the healing totem in the back, and then drop the Freya. And for you guys that don't know, Freya banishes 3 targets when she comes into play, and deals 2 to anything that would be surviving. So what it does is, against a board where they have less than 3 creatures, it just gives you a free turn to swing on their summoning stone. It's ridiculously powerful, especially for a 6-cost creature. Like, I would probably even play it if it costs 1 mana more. And that's kind of crazy to think. Now at this point, with his summoning stone at 12 life, it's pretty much over. Obviously, I'm not going to just go straight for the summoning stone here, but I will be trying to control a little bit and set up that checkmate where he ends the turn with enough lethal on the board. So right here, what I'm thinking about is really the Agni and not wanting to kill him. And while it seems counterproductive at first, this really comes down to the fact where I don't want to deal with Agni's double 2 damage when he comes in with the reincarnate at 6. So I'm going to just pretty much ignore him and let him do his 2 damage to whoever he wants to on my board every turn, while I just pretty much ruin everything else and wreck his summoning stone at the same time. So I'm feeling pretty good, and I do feel if I had went for Agni here, this might have not been a sealed victory at this point. Look at that Nacom warrior doing work. He's drawn me at least 3 or 4 cards at this point. And he's still a 5-cost 4/4. I mean, I really like pairing him in with the Odin ability. I'd probably play him with the Mayan faction as well. Just anything you can get a creature on the board for free, it's incredibly useful. Oh, Zaben Scout, sweet. So again, at this point, I have 9 cards in hand to his 4. I can literally just drop creature after creature every turn with him not being able to respond. I just have that much of a card advantage over him, where he should not be able to just deal with all the creatures I'm about to spam him with. That right there was a little bit of a misplay. I probably should have moved my Skeleton Warrior on the top there in 1, just to block any possible character drop there. I'd rather him be on the front in range of the Zaben Scout, much easier. Okay, with 9 on his summoning stone, and I got a Fatalis in hand. Well, that's at least 6 right there from the boar, and just counting it up. Put him at 1 on the stone with the carrier behemoth in the back. Although he does get the silence here, I don't think that's going to change the fact that he's about to lose. I will offer the opponent the good game, and we'll be going on to the next match. Hey guys, it looks like it's another Norse versus Hindu match. I again got a 2-drop, so I'm looking pretty good. Even got the 2-3-4 here, so no way I'm mulliganing any of this. So, oh geez, I even drew Loki on my 5th. This should be a steamroll, to be honest. When you get a hand like this, I don't even use my hero power, to be honest. You get that perfect curve. And especially someone like the Hindu who aren't going to be able to have the double rooting tower, and only the chance of having the +2 health one. You only get one of those in the deck in Highlander. It really plays a big role here. That's why I really chose to go more with this curvy aggro deck rather than trying to play more of a control-ish deck. When you have less consistency in your deck building process, like having the restriction of 1 per card, you really want to go for a less complicated plan, and aggro is usually that less complicated plan. So we're here opening up turn 4 with a really good start. He does get me with the first stupid root thing here. I really hate this card, but I'm also not really a Hindu player, so I'm sure they love it for as much as it pisses me off. I mean, that's how it always goes in card games, right? So he's playing very defensive here. He's got his guy giving defender to all the linked things to what the red beams are there, so I'm going to be doing 1 less combat damage to anything with that green shield next to their power there. It's not really a big problem. The problem is getting rid of this -1 speed. The ability to stop me from taking one of my characters with charge all the way from my side of the board to his side of the board and deal damage is a very key factor. And even by deploying just this 1 tower that reduces my movement by 1, it's really slowed down my offense here. Now I'm not really worried about slowing down, to be honest. Having both Loki in my hand, the Nacom Warrior to draw me more cards, and also a Fire Giant to close it out on 8. Fire Giant really is one of my favorite cards. I don't know if you guys played earlier in the beta before he was changed, but he also used to hit adjacent characters, which was kind of ridiculous. It was why I only played Odin pretty much for like the first, I don't know, 2 or 3 patches that I played this game. Because if you get the tower that gives you charge to all your characters, and you get a 5/8 that attacks all enemies, and 2/2/1s, it's really stupid. Like, I was able to get, I think, to like 7th or 8th rank without really trying, as it's kind of a noob to the game, to be honest. I just came here trying to get a break from Gwent and Hearthstone, to be honest, and I just like this game a lot more. It reminds me a lot of Duelist, to be honest, except I don't have to like pay my entire paycheck to keep up with the game. So I'm really enjoying this game, and I hope you guys are enjoying it too and enjoying my content, because, well, I'm going to be putting out a hell of a lot more of these videos, let me tell you. Now, to catch up with what's going on in the game, he's pretty much traded out most of the things I had on his side of the board and turned all of that into card draw because of my Nacom Warrior. Now, with the combination of him and what looks like his his big brother over there, big Mayan brother with the chieftain, he's in some trouble here. His only thing he had going into that turn, as you can see, is his healing building, and in dropping this 5/5 and then having to pass, he really didn't affect my board state in any way. And here I'm really just thinking how I'm going to deal with this Hydra, and it's really an easy choice here. I want to keep as much on the board as possible, and trading off my 4/4 Nacom Warrior is not really a big deal. I'm still doing the 2 damage to the board with my charged soul, and getting a boost to my chieftain over here because my one guy dies. So when you get this 8/7 marching across the board, to me, you rarely lose. I mean, sure, if they got a silence or whatever, you got a chance, but as you saw, he already used his 3-drop that silences on another character, so he's kind of SOL on that front. Just kind of planning out my next turn here. I don't want to pass without kind of having a good idea of where I want to be, and the plan here is really going to be to drop the Fire Giant and run my imps into whatever is blocking the way, to be honest, or grow the chieftain to whatever he needs to be to kill that 12 life summoning stone. I really do have a lot of options here. All of them lead to the demise, of course. Oh, it's another Agni. It's not really a problem when I don't have a lot of low toughness creatures on the board. Oh, and I drew a Freya. Sweet. Okay, well, that will let me finish this game as well. I'm going to go with the Freya play, although playing the Fire Giant, running those into the Agni, and then souling the Summoning Stone, and then attacking the Summoning Stone with the Chieftain would have also had a win. So, again, this really goes into planning at the end of your turn, before you pass, using that time wisely before you have to make a decision where you're pressed for time when you get new information. Alright, until the next game. Thank you. Alright, let's see. It's Norse versus... Alright, Norse versus Raw. I'm just glad it's not another Hindu faction. I don't want to just be playing the same people over and over. Although I have to say I don't really see Raw as a very strong pick for this match. When you're thinking about the Highlander Gauntlet format, again, it comes down to consistency. And when you have some very key cards like Sobek and other early drops that kind of snowball the rest of your game through heals and other play like that, and if you only have one of those in your 25 cards, it's a really big deal if you're trying to go and win 8 in a row. Now, it's not to say that it's not a very strong deck going in to a game and being, well, sure, I can maybe win this, or maybe I'm not going to win this. But when you're talking about something where you need to win 8 in a row, like these gauntlets to get these icons, you really, as you'll see, the opponent doesn't really have any strong answers for what I put on the board. It really comes down to me always dropping a creature on curve or a creature plus summoning one of my skeleton warriors here. And at that point, when the raw maybe misses a drop or has a suboptimal play and not maximizing mana use or something, I can really take advantage of board position and hold it for quite a while, to be honest. And that's what I'm going to be trying to do at the beginning here. With 3 creatures on the board to his 0, I'm looking pretty good, but he has a really good play here in poisoning both my guys. This was kind of a pain in the ass and a really good investment for his 4 mana there. I don't really like playing that card personally, because if your opponent for whatever reason was using his hero power to summon the skeletal warriors, it's a really bad value for what you get out of it at 4 mana. But how he used it there and in this exact situation, yeah, it kind of sucked for me, I gotta admit. Now, even with those 2 gone, I still have 3 units on the board, one that can get stronger, and some CC in hand. So no matter what he really does here, I still feel like I have a very strong upper hand. And with him dropping this 3/2 that will poison another one of my characters, I got to make a decision here. Now, while I do play this in a way where it turns out to my advantage, what I really should have done was summon another creature first with my hero ability, killed the hero there, and then summoned the carrier behemoth after it was dead. Because what I'm doing here is risking losing my 4-drop just because I played things in the incorrect order. Small things like that can make a big difference, especially when you don't have control of the game. So although it doesn't really matter in a situation like this, it's good to recognize the mistakes that you make, because when it does matter, you'll be looking at your play and be making the correct decisions. So at this point, with my carrier behemoth and my Scotty on the board, a Loki and a Hasten Fatalis in hand, there's really not much the opponent can do with the 9 health on his summoning stone. So I'm going to have a little bit of fun with him. Ping him a couple more times with a couple skeleton warriors, and hit him with the big 12 next turn if he heals for whatever reason. Well, he is playing Egyptian, so they always gotta heal. But unfortunately for him, here's the first example of why Hasten Fatalis is in this deck in the first place. Combined with Loki and his ability to just jump through opponents, it just adds another 6 damage onto your final burst. Thanks again. Alright, it looks like we have Norse versus another Egyptian pantheon. And I don't really have the best opening here, to be honest. I wish I was on the second player side here, to be honest. If I had that mana potion, I could have had a really strong opening for a curve. But even so, opening with the 1/1 charge is never a bad option. Especially when you know the threat of him having Sobek in hand with only being able to have 1 out of 25 of his cards. Well, speak of the devil, that's not the best position to be in, to be honest. Sobek is who I didn't want to deal with, but we do have Tusky to at least knock him down here. And while you might wonder why I went here for Sobek rather than hitting the summoning stone again, I really want to take advantage of this stun while I can. And because I have the silence already in hand, I really don't care how much he procs his ++ ability he gets on heal. And what I'm really doing is really forcing him into using this heal and passing any board control he might have got by, for example, coining into that card that poisons 2 of my characters on the board. I think it's kind of sneaky, and it worked out to my advantage, but, you know, obviously it could have backfired at the same time too. So, just be happy that I got what I wanted to get here. And now with both 5 damage total on the board, even though it's split between 3 toughness of 3 characters, I'm really at a strong advantage against this character. You really can't say that Egyptian has the best early game. Sobek is pretty strong. Bastet, while she has stickiness through her summoning of those 3 cats, she doesn't really have any impact on the board immediately. So what happens is she has good value, especially if you use Scarab's Blessing and she comes back. But what it doesn't do is necessarily stop me from attacking your summoning stone and dealing with her. At this point, I'm really trying to figure out how to set up a board state that's going to turn my chieftain I have here in hand into a monster in 1 turn. So what I'm really going to do is just completely ignore what he's got, get as much things as I can on the board, and then on turn 6, drop the chieftain and just trade everything I've got into pretty much everything he's got. And if he doesn't have the silence, it's pretty much good game at that point. So while you might consider this a bit of an all-in because it can backfire, I do have contingency plans on turn 7 with my charge building combined with Soul, or possibly Thor with a 3-drop, or just using him with my hero power on 7. While stunning my Brontes at least removes 1 character I can't trade into his board. I'm not really sure what he's going to try to do here. I really think if he had a 5-drop, it probably would have been a better option to drop that 5-drop rather than use the 1-cost spell and summon this 1/4 that is not going to help him retake the board at all. It's just my opinion though. So again, I'm really looking here at what he's got and how I can turn this chieftain into an unstoppable monster, and things are looking pretty good. At this point, I'm really just kind of looking at what kind of lanes I can open up for this chieftain. He really just needs 1 to 2 shots on the summoning stone, and even though if this Bastet dies and she makes a vertical wall of cats here, I can at least break through 1 of them with my hero power alone, and I also got Brontes there to run interference. So at 12 power here, I really don't even have to worry about this 4/4 ranged god he put up. Again, I'm just worried about not having a running lane here, but things are looking pretty good, and well, Soul is really going to come into play here. I don't think he's going to see this one coming. Yeah, poor guy. Well, not really. I want that icon. Fiending for that icon, you know. Alright, clear the way. Just take him out. And again, just 12 to the face. You got 5 life left. A 4/4 on the board to deal with enough damage to kill him, even if he kills my 12/11. So at this point, I see this as good game. But let's see what his response is. More healing. What a surprise. Yeah, good game, man. What a precarious predicament our hero has been put into. What will this ravishing rogue do to get out of these overwhelming forces surrounding his base? Stay tuned next time on Midnight's Gauntlet.